Most people don't want to hear this, but it's the truth. The reason so many of us feel stuck, weak, and unmotivated isn't because the world is unfair. It's because our own minds are weak. We're prisoners of emotions, slaves to comfort, and obsessed with what other people think. The Stoics knew this over 2,000 years ago. That's why they left us lessons that are brutal but life-saving. Today, I'll share with you 10 harsh Stoic truths that will save you from a weak mind. But be warned, these truths are not comforting. They are raw, cold, and direct. Yet, if you embrace them, they will make you stronger than 99% of people. In this video, we'll explore 10 lessons from the ancient Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus. These men lived through war, exile, slavery, and loss. They didn't have the luxury of soft truths. They dealt with life head-on. The Stoics believed that mental strength is not a gift you're born with, but a discipline you build every single day. And the first step to building that strength is to face reality exactly as it is. By the end of this video, you'll understand why life doesn't owe you anything, why your emotions aren't facts, why comfort is the new prison, and why your freedom begins when you realize nobody actually cares. So if you're ready, let's begin with the first harsh truth. Truth 1. Life owes you nothing. This is a tough one. From the time we're kids, we're conditioned to believe that if we just try hard enough, or if we're good people, life will reward us. But the Stoics remind us, life owes you nothing. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Never expect the world to act as you wish, act as the world demands." Think about that for a second. We suffer because we expect things to go our way. We expect people to treat us fairly. We expect our hard work to be recognized. We expect the world to hand us happiness because we believe we deserve it. But the universe doesn't work like that. Nature doesn't play favorites. Rain falls on the just and the unjust. Hardship hits the kind and the cruel alike. When you cling to the idea that life owes you something, you're setting yourself up for constant disappointment. You feel cheated when things don't work out. You feel angry when others succeed faster than you, and you feel hopeless when your effort doesn't pay off immediately. But here's the flip side. Once you let go of this illusion, you become unstoppable. Because if life owes you nothing, then every good thing is a bonus. Every success is earned, not entitled. Every challenge becomes just another part of the game. Seneca once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more. That is poor." When you stop demanding from life, you start creating. When you stop waiting for fairness, you start acting with power. So remember this. The world owes you nothing. And that's not bad news. That's freedom. Truth 2. Emotions are not facts. The second harsh truth is one that most people never master. Your emotions are not facts. We live in a culture that constantly tells us to follow our feelings and trust our heart. But the Stoics would laugh at this advice, because feelings lie. Epictetus wrote, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When you're angry, it feels like someone wronged you. But is that the truth, or is it just your interpretation? When you're jealous, it feels like someone else has taken what should have been yours. But is that reality, or just a story you made up in your head? When you're afraid, it feels like disaster is certain. But how many times has fear predicted the future correctly? Almost never. Weak minds confuse emotions with truth. They believe every thought that crosses their mind. They believe every fear, every insecurity, every surge of anger, and so they live like puppets, controlled by whatever they feel in the moment. Strong minds, on the other hand, separate emotions from reality. They feel the anger, but don't act on it blindly. They feel fear, but still step forward. They feel envy, but don't let it control their behavior. Marcus Aurelius trained himself every morning by saying, "You will meet people today who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. but none of them can harm me unless I let them. See the difference? The Stoic doesn't deny emotions. He feels them fully, but he doesn't mistake them for facts. You cannot control what thoughts or feelings appear in your mind, but you can control what you do with them. That is where freedom begins. Truth 3. Comfort is a silent prison. One of the most dangerous illusions in modern life is comfort. We're told to seek it, to design our lives around it, to avoid struggle at all costs. But the Stoics saw comfort for what it really is, a prison cell disguised as luxury. Think of it this way. Every civilization in history didn't collapse because of poverty, they collapsed in abundance. Rome didn't fall when it was poor, it fell when it became too rich, too soft, too comfortable. Seneca used to remind himself of this constantly. Even though he was one of the wealthiest men in Rome, he practiced sleeping on the floor, eating coarse bread, wearing simple clothes. Why? Because he wanted to remind himself that comfort weakens the body and weakens the mind. Soft beds and fine food make soft men, he wrote. And we see this today, don't we? We live in climate-controlled homes, we eat processed food delivered to our door, we scroll endlessly on glowing screens, and yet we're more anxious, more depressed, and more restless than ever. Comfort kills motivation. It kills drive. It kills the hunger that makes you grow. The Stoics would say, don't avoid discomfort, seek it, step into cold water, carry the heavy weight, do the thing you fear, because it's in discomfort that your mind sharpens, your will strengthens, and your character is forged. Comfort feels like freedom, but in truth, it's the slowest and deadliest prison you'll ever live in. Truth 4. Nobody cares about your struggles. This one may sting the most. You might think people are watching you closely, judging your every mistake, waiting for you to fail. But here's the harsh truth. Nobody cares. People are too busy with their own lives, their own problems, their own fears. They don't have the time or the energy to obsess over you the way you imagine they do. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "We all love ourselves more than other people, but we care more about their opinion than our own." How true is that? We spend our lives worrying about what others think, when in reality, those people are hardly thinking about us at all. And when you realize this, it's not depressing, it's liberating. If nobody cares, then you're free. Free to try, free to fail, free to create, to speak, to live boldly. The weak mind constantly seeks validation. It performs for an audience that isn't even paying attention. The strong mind, on the other hand, builds silently, knowing that applause is meaningless. Next time you hesitate to take action because you fear judgment, remind yourself, in 24 hours, people will be back to worrying about themselves, and your so-called embarrassing moment will already be forgotten. Nobody cares, and that's your freedom. Truth 5. Discipline is the foundation of freedom. This sounds like a paradox, but the Stoics knew it to be absolute truth. Without discipline, you're not free. You're a slave. Think about it. If you can't control your impulses, your cravings, your laziness, then who's in control of your life? Not you. Epictetus said it best. No man is free who is not master of himself. The weak mind confuses freedom with indulgence. It thinks freedom means doing whatever you want, whenever you want. Sleep in, skip the workout, waste the day. But that's not freedom, that's slavery to desire. Real freedom is waking up and doing what you must, even when you don't feel like it. Real freedom is training your body, focusing your mind, building your craft, because then you're in control, not your moods. Discipline is what allows you to say no to the distractions that destroy most people. Discipline is what keeps you moving when motivation fades. Discipline is what builds the strength that nobody can take away from you. The Stoics trained themselves through daily practice, writing reflections, enduring hardship, resisting temptation, not because they enjoyed suffering, but because they knew that discipline is the only path to freedom. So remember, the man without discipline may look free, but he is chained to his weakness. The disciplined man may look strict, but he is the only one who is truly free. Truth 6. Death is always near. The sixth truth is one that most people spend their lives running away from. Death is always near. The Stoics had a phrase for this: memento mori. Remember, you must die. Now, at first, this sounds dark, even depressing. But for the Stoics, it was not meant to scare you. It was meant to wake you up. Think about how you live when you believe you have endless time. You waste days. You procrastinate. You put off what really matters because you think tomorrow is guaranteed. But tomorrow is not guaranteed. The next hour is not guaranteed. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself every morning, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. To the weak mind, death is terrifying, something to avoid thinking about. But to the strong mind, death is a compass. It clarifies what matters and what doesn't. It makes you urgent, focused, alive. When you remember that death is always near, you stop wasting your life on petty arguments, empty pursuits, and shallow approval. Instead, you live with purpose. You cherish the people you love. You give everything to the work that matters. The harsh truth is, death is not far away. But the gift is that this awareness will save you from wasting your life. Truth 7. Comparison destroys joy. If there is one thing guaranteed to keep your mind weak, it's comparison. You compare yourself to your friends, to strangers on the internet, to people you've never met and never will. And every time you compare, you feel smaller, poorer, less successful. Marcus Aurelius warned, do not waste the remainder of your life worrying about others unless it affects the common good. Why concern yourself with what they do, what they think, what they say? The Stoics understood that comparison is a form of slavery, because the moment you measure your life against someone else's, you've given away your freedom. You've tied your happiness to something you can't control. Weak minds chase status. They want to be seen, to be admired, to be envied. But strong minds know that joy comes only from within, from living according to your values, from walking your path, not theirs. Seneca put it bluntly, it is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor. When you live in comparison, you are never enough. But when you focus only on your own progress, your own growth, your own discipline, you become untouchable. Comparison destroys joy. Focus restores it. Truth 8. Failure is the only real teacher. Here's the 8th harsh truth. Failure is not just part of the process, it is the process. We live in a culture that fears failure. We're taught that mistakes are shameful, that failure defines us, that we should avoid it at all costs. But the Stoics knew better. Epictetus said, the greater the difficulty, the more glory in surmounting it. Skillful pilots gain their reputation from storms and tempests. Think about that. The best sailors are not made in calm waters. They are forged in storms. And the same is true for you. Weak minds avoid failure. They stay safe, never risk, never stretch. And so they stay small. Strong minds walk directly into failure because they know that every scar carries wisdom, every setback carries growth, every defeat is simply another step toward mastery. Seneca once said, difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. The only way to learn is to fail. The only way to grow is to break and rebuild. The only way to become strong is to walk straight through the storm. Failure is not the enemy. Failure is the teacher. And if you learn to embrace it, you will build a mind that nothing can break. Truth 9. Pain is unavoidable. Suffering is optional. The 9th truth is one the Stoics repeated endlessly. Pain is unavoidable, but suffering is optional. Seneca wrote, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. And isn't that true? The physical pain, the actual hardship, is often tolerable. What breaks us is the story we tell ourselves about it. You feel the pain of rejection. That pain lasts a moment. But the suffering, that comes from replaying the moment 1,000 times in your head. You feel the pain of loss. That pain is real, but the suffering grows when you resist it, deny it, or tell yourself it should not have happened. The Stoics separated pain from suffering. Pain is an event. Suffering is a choice. Weak minds run from pain and, in doing so, amplify it. They fear discomfort, so every minor ache feels unbearable. Strong minds accept pain as part of life, but they refuse to add unnecessary suffering on top of it. Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them, and it is in your power to wipe out that judgment now." The harsh truth is, you cannot escape pain, but you can escape suffering by mastering your judgment, your perspective, and your response. Truth 10. You are responsible for your mind. The final and harshest truth is this: you, and you alone, are responsible for your mind. We love to blame others for our weakness, our parents, our bosses, society, circumstances. And yes, those things shape us. But ultimately, the Stoics remind us, your mind is your responsibility. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." You can't control if people betray you. You can't control if the world is unfair. You can't control if disaster strikes. But you can control your thoughts. You can control your discipline. You can control your choices. Weak minds give this responsibility away. They say, "I can't, because they won't let me." Strong minds take it back. They say, "It's mine to carry, no matter what happens." This is the ultimate Stoic truth. You are the guardian of your mind, and no one else can save you from weakness. Only you. Let's pause for a moment. Think of the last time you felt powerless. Maybe it was a betrayal, a loss, or a failure. Did blaming others make it better? Did wishing life were different give you strength? Or was it only when you took responsibility for your mind that you began to heal? If these truths shook you, don't just keep them to yourself. Share them with someone who still hides from reality. Because sometimes one harsh truth is enough to wake a person up. So, here we are, the 10 harsh Stoic truths that will save you from a weak mind. Life owes you nothing. Emotions are not facts. Comfort is a prison. Nobody cares about your struggles. Discipline is freedom. Death is always near. Comparison destroys joy. Failure is the teacher. Pain is unavoidable. Suffering is optional. You are responsible for your mind. They may sound brutal. They may sting. But they are medicine. And if you live by them, your mind becomes unbreakable. Now I want to leave you with one final question. Which of these truths hit you the hardest? And why? Leave your answer in the comments, because your reflection might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. And remember, life is short, pain is real, but freedom belongs to the mind that embraces truth.